the world's gaze shifted when the case against Andrew Tate landed at the center of headlines. Not his usual shocks, social media rants, or internet theatrics. This time a legal showdown, heavy allegations, 4 women, and a civil trial unlike any seen before. That's not hyperbole. This is one of those rare court stories that mix celebrity, influence, claims of violence, mass audiences, and a legal precedent all at once. And while the accusations themselves are grave, serious allegations of physical and sexual abuse, threats with weapons, coercive control, and heavy emotional damage between 2013 and 2015. What makes this case especially electrifying is the legal angle. It's not just criminal law, it's civil law. It's about control, consent, power, money, and the messy fallout of influencer fame meeting real-world claims. By the end of this video, you'll understand how the claims stack up, what Andrew Tate is accused of, how he defends himself, and why the outcome will matter far beyond the courtroom. To understand how we got here, you need the backstory. Andrew Tate isn't just any defendant. Former kickboxer, social media mogul, self-declared alpha male, multi-millionaire who built an online empire. He boasts tens of millions of followers, sells courses, creates podcasts and lives under the spotlight. But fame carries risk. Allegations followed him. In Britain, between 2013 and 2015, 4 anonymous women claimed Tate subjected them to violent behavior. 2 of them say they were in intimate relationships with him. The other 2 worked for his webcam business. Their claims range from physical assault and rape to threats with firearms and strangulation during sex. One woman says he pinned her by the throat, grabbed her, threatened her while pointing a gun in her face and said, "You're going to do as I say or there'll be hell to pay." Another claims a gun sat on his sofa in the late 2014 flat she occupied. These are not casual claims, they are severe, detailed, disturbing. Tate denies everything. He says all interactions were consensual, that the women exaggerate or fabricate, and that the allegations are attempts to extract money from him. He calls the claims a pack of lies, denies pointing a gun, denies strangling someone until unconscious, and denies non-consensual sex. His team claims there is no credible evidence, that the police investigated and dropped the case, and that the women's business associations were voluntary. The defense says the civil trial is being used to punish Tate for being a public figure. The legal issues are complex. In a civil case, you don't need proof beyond reasonable doubt, which is the criminal standard. You only need the balance of probabilities. That means the women must persuade the court that it's more likely than not that the events occurred. That lowers the threshold. But Tate's team will argue the time elapsed from 2013 to 2015, the anonymity of claimants, the lack of criminal convictions, and alleged inconsistencies. Tate's lawyers also argue that personal injury claims generally must be brought within 3 years of the event, a limitation issue the judge will need to consider. The claimants argue delays are common in sexual violence cases and seek to rely on expert evidence on why victims may delay reporting. In a preliminary hearing, the judge allowed the victims to rely on 1 expert on delayed reporting but refused a 2nd expert on coercive control. Because of the publicity, every move in this case is amplified. Tate is overseas. Some hearings are virtual. He declined to appear at the preliminary hearing. The judge told his lawyers the fact he travels to the US and Dubai means he has no reason to hide behind jurisdictional issues. All parties know this is more than a courtroom drama. It's a cultural moment. If the women win, it may encourage other victims to use civil courts against powerful online figures. If Tate prevails, it may discourage them. On the other side, there's the separate criminal case in Romania to keep an eye on. Tate and his brother face indictments for human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group. That case has been delayed, suffered procedural issues, but looms as background context. Why is this case more talked about than others? Well, it's because Tate's persona is part of the story. His online empire preaches this audacious alpha male rhetoric, a lavish lifestyle, dominance narratives, and a fan base that's, drawn to extremes. He monetizes controversy, he's polarizing. For supporters, he's a free speech icon standing up against woke culture. For critics, he represents misogyny, exploitation, and toxic masculinity. That tension means when he's in court, the world watches. It means ordinary accusations of abuse turn into debates about culture, power, internet fame, gender dynamics, consent, and business models. The trial doesn't just ask, did this happen? It asks, was this part of a system? As the trial approaches, expect the focus to really sharpen on the four individual claimants, the documentary-style build-up of evidence how far Tate's business model entangled with personal relationships and whether courts will be willing to hold a global influencer liable for abuse through multiple contexts: personal, business, sexual. The claimants will present witness testimony, phone and social media records, payment logs, hustlers' university materials, possibly webcam studio film sets and their personal narratives. Let's run through the key timeline. From 2013 to 2015, that's when the events are alleged to have happened. In 2019, police investigations in the UK closed with no prosecution. Fast forward to 2024, civil claims filed. April 2025, there's a preliminary hearing. June 2026, that's when the trial is expected. All the while, Tate fights other legal battles in Romania, the UK, and the US. The overlap is complex, but the civil case stands alone for now. The claimants remain anonymous, AA, BB, and so on, for safety reasons. The legal documents talk of threats with firearms, strangulation, control through money and position. Tate's defense says it was all consensual, denies pointing a gun, denies assault. Both sides know this is not just about the facts, it's about public perception, influence, finances, reputation, and power. So what's at stake? For the claimants, it's justice, recognition, and possibly large damages. For Tate, it's his reputation, business empire, and even his freedom. And for society, it's a test of whether civil courts can actually hold powerful digital influencers to account for alleged abuse. The result could, really redefine how platforms, careers, business models, and the relationships between influencers and participants are legally viewed. As you watch this trial unfold, remember one bigger question. Did four women in the face of a global wealthy influencer finally force accountability? Or will this trial become yet another high-profile case where money, power, and publicity block justice? Either way, the reverberations will be felt long beyond the courtroom walls. If you found this breakdown compelling, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share, because this case isn't just legal news, it may very well be cultural history in motion. Drop a comment if you want a deep dive episode on one of the claimants, the civil law strategy, or the influencer business model behind the allegations. This trial is only beginning, and you'll want to follow every twist.